morning. Good morning. This morning's service is about heroes, and I think I might have gotten the wrong memo, because I thought we were all supposed to come dressed up like superheroes. So I'm feeling a little bit self-conscious. Well, all right, let's just do it. Hit it, Steele. All right. So good to laugh. All right, indeed, this service is going to be about heroes, maybe not superheroes, but all sorts of heroes. We all love a good hero story. It's so good to be together. We need heroes. We need heroes all the time because heroes represent hope. We realize how much suffering there is in the world, and having heroes gives us a sense of security. In the big picture way, heroes give us hope because it reminds us in this crazy, dark world, there is still good. And in a smaller, more personal level, heroes inspire us how to change our lives for the better. They inspire us to be better people. And this connects to what Bruce said in the service last week, perhaps unconsciously setting us up for this week about heroes. He said, kindness is a superpower. When a person's kind, it creates kindness in others. Seeing heroes perform amazing, admirable acts makes us want to perform amazing, admirable acts. And David Brooks, the author and speaker, he says it a little differently. He says, in this world, moral improvement occurs most reliably when our heart is warmed, when we come into contact with people we admire, because then we consciously and unconsciously bend our lives to mimic theirs. Heroes can help us lift our eyes, our aspirations a little bit higher. And that's why today we're going to talk about heroes. So please rise as you're able to sing our opening song, Gather the Spirit.
United once more, gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather
good to gather. Well, a big hearty welcome to everyone, new, old, young and old. All of us are welcome. If you're new here, just know that not all services start quite like that. Here we are in the home of the North Shore Unitarians, this beautiful wooden building in a lovely little spot of the woods in a corner of the North Shore on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people. We gather each week to inspire each other to live with greater depth, meaning, and purpose. We gather to build connection and community, to stave off loneliness and disconnection, and build ourselves up to face this challenging world. Each week here, we start our service with the lighting of candles, and the first is the lighting of the chalice. This marks the beginning of our service together. We kindle this flame as a symbol of our gathering. May the light of understanding illuminate our darkness. May the warmth of sharing bring us peace. Next, we'll light our candles of joys and sorrows. Are there any joys out there anyone wants to share?
My mother-in-law turned 101.
Wow, that is worth celebrating. Here's to 101. Any other joys? Yeah.
I'm going to Japan next week.
Woo! Going to Japan next week. Very nice. Any others? Well, I'm going to light a candle of joy for Allison, our amazing music director, who, give her a round. Absolutely. Woohoo! So Allison, who's been here with like 22 years, something like that, and works really hard with our community all year, both with the music and with the service team. And then in the summer, she leads summer corps, a whole other choir, and big production. And then this year, she took a whole group of people back to her homeland in Scotland, and everyone had an amazing time. And she's already planning a new and different trip in Italy for next summer. So you are amazing. Thank you for being the joy in our community. Yeah. Are there any sorrows to share? There is one that I know of, and that's that Wayne Hanna is in hospital in Germany. Wayne and Marga left just very recently on their trip to Europe, and he's in hospital. He hopes to be home in a few weeks. He welcomes communication, but he specifically asks that it go through Marga. So if you want to connect, email, or you can connect with Marga. Marga herself is well. She's staying with family and is very nearby. And the other sorrow or concern is just Janny, our amazing admin person who has had ongoing difficulties with surgery and just had another surgery again this week. So just keep her in your hearts and thoughts. It's not easy to type and do administrative things when your hand is in a splint. So, any other sorrows to share? So we'll light our last candle this morning, which is a candle of global concern. I feel compelled, especially in the month of September, just to light this for environmental disaster in the world. I'm going to throw a twist on it, though, and light this candle today, also thinking of Robert Redford, who died this week, September 16th, age 89. He was a decades-long environmental activist. Of course, he was really an influential film star, having done Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Sting, and All the President's Men. He actually advocated that story of All the President's Men be told. That was a lot of his drive. He was known for founding the Sundance Institute, which was the Sundance Festival that promoted independent films and filmmakers, and he did a ton of work in environmental activism. I think he was just one of those good guys who used his privilege to advocate for environmental awareness and action.
And he was gorgeous.
I'm so glad you said that, because I almost had that, and I thought, I don't think I should say that, but I'm really glad you said it, Diane. So good. Okay, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes for a minute, just a minute. Close your eyes. I want you to picture the word heroes lit up before you in supersized letters, blinking like a huge theater marquee. Heroes. Now I want you to let that word just fade out from your eyes. And as it fades, catch yourself. What's the next thing that pops into your mind? Who do you see when you think of the word hero? Who's a hero to you? You can open your eyes now. I want you to hold on to the image of who you saw. You can open those eyes. Maybe you saw Superman flying through the air, able to stop trains with his bare hands. Or maybe you saw more of a generic hero, like a knight in shining armor, atop a horse, big shiny sword, look of ferociousness on his face. Maybe you thought of Harriet Tubman, who risked her life time and time again to help slaves escape to free territory on the Underground Railroad. Maybe you thought of the firefighters that went into the Twin Towers on 9/11. Maybe you saw the famous image of Sitting Bull, the political and spiritual leader of the Sioux warriors who for years defended Indigenous rights and fought the US government that was encroaching on their land and their people. Maybe you saw the image of American pilot Chesley Sullenberger, Sully. Remember the story? He flew a fully loaded plane that had lost both its engines from bird strike, navigated that plane successfully to land on the Hudson River, avoiding all of Manhattan. Or maybe you thought of a little girl, Anne Frank, who hid in her attic for 2 years from the Nazis who eventually killed her and her family, who wrote in her diary that despite all that, she still believed that people are really good at heart. Or maybe what appears in your mind's eye is something completely different, not someone whose story would have ever been written in a book or in a comic or a movie or would have had a statue made for them. Maybe it's someone who occupies a place in your heart, a place of pride or honor. Whoever you thought of most likely represents your heroic ideal. Our own personal heroes represent what heroism means to us, and everybody has their own ideas and ideals and values. And as we'll discover, heroes come in all sizes and descriptions, and so do heroic actions. Warren Buffett said that the best thing he ever did was choose the right heroes. So now, I'm going to ask you to be brave and turn to someone sitting near you, but not someone you live with. Can't be someone you live with. Turn to someone near you and just take 4 or 5 sentences and share who you thought of in that moment that is a hero, has been or is a hero in your life. All right? Go. Be brave. All right, switch up. Tell the other story. Switch it up. Nice. Okay, I'm so curious to hear, so I look forward to hearing some of your stories. There are actually 3 people who are going to come up and share a few thoughts of their own about heroes, 3 of them. The first is Tracy McCauley. So come on up, Tracy. Tracy's been coming to North Shore periodically over the last year and bravely agreed to speak today. She's a single mom who lives with her 16-year-old Rowan, 1 dog, 2 cats, here in North Vancouver. She works at the District of North Vancouver. Thank you, Tracy, for coming and speaking today.
Good morning. Rebecca asked me my thoughts on what a hero is, and my first thoughts was, I think about the first responders in our community, the firefighters, the paramedics, North Shore Rescue, all the trained professionals in the ER, their parents who worked hard to save money and put them through university. I then reflect on our teachers and the caregivers, the baker who gets up early to bake the bread for us, the farmer tilling the land that's going to grow the food that nourishes all of us, the silent, unsung heroes. I love this quote by Joseph Campbell, who, if you want to read about heroes, he's a wonderful person to read. You probably all have, but a hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. There's also a quote from Maya Angelou. I think a hero is any person really intent on making this a better place for all people. I also know that I'm my own hero. There is no one in a cape who's arriving to save my day. maybe a little bit, but truly, my intention, my efforts for my life, for my family, for my friends, my community, our earth, are all a part of the hero's journey and all of our story.
Thank you, Tracy. Woohoo! Thank you. It's awesome. All right, next is Elizabeth. Where are you, Elizabeth? I didn't even see Elizabeth come in this morning. Next is not Elizabeth. There are two people going to come and speak this morning, and the second is Jell. There you go. Here comes Jell. He's been coming to North Shore Unitarian since 2016. Holy, that's the same time I started coming to North Shore Unitarians. That's amazing. Jell is my husband. We live in the same household. There you go. Yeah. So, there you go, Jell.
Hey, it's very nerve-wracking when your partner asks you to speak in her service. there's a whole other dynamic going on. So Billy Bragg, the singer-songwriter, is my hero. There he is up there. He's a hero of mine. Why him? You've probably never even heard of him, or you might not have heard of him. But, is it his lovely Fender Stratocaster guitar, which isn't what he has up there at the moment, or his good looks, or his inimitable, unmistakable voice? No, it's more his story and understanding what brought him to his art and to his career and his worldview, and his determination to try and use those things to make the world a better place. Billy Bragg writes and sings songs about the wrongs in the world, laying bare the toxicity of racism, classism, sexism, all forms of unjust oppression. And he does it in ways that are inspiring, uplifting, and ways that foster hope, and that bring people along with him. In fact, when Woody Guthrie died and had many songs that didn't have music to them, had lyrics, his family actually trusted Billy to put them to music and record them. Billy, who I saw as a political activist musician, once said, "I'm not really about politics, I'm about empathy. It's what music is really about." In an interview, he was asked about his early days and what got him started in political activism. He talked about being in Victoria Park, London, England, at the culmination of a Rock Against Racism march. He was an audience member, an as yet unknown artist working an office job. It was Sunday, April 30th, 1978. An estimated 100,000 people marched from Trafalgar Square in London to Victoria Park in response to the rise of right-wing racist violent politics in the form of the National Front in the UK. Billy described being there in Victoria Park, watching bands such as The Clash, the Tom Robinson Band, Steel Pulse, and X-Ray Specs with their lead singer, who was called Polystyrene, which I thought was quite funny. The Tom Robinson Band sang their hit song, actually, Sing If You're Glad to Be Gay. The TRB, as they were known, were openly gay, and that was a brave thing in those days when you're trying to make a career in music. Bill described watching that courageous performance and being among the 100,000 people standing up against racism and violence. He said how he realized at that moment how music really could be used for political activism and greater good. He was inspired by those other heroes he was watching on the stage. And he said later he was even more inspired by the realization that 80,000 kids at that rally thought and felt in ways that he did. He went on to be a successful and important voice in the UK, singing songs and standing up for the miners against Margaret Thatcher during the miners' strike that took a piece of the heart of working-class Britain. He spoke out about the Iraq War and so many other things, being a force that brought hope through amazing music to those who lean more into compassion than perhaps some of the other things. Aged 14, I too was stood in the crowd in Victoria Park, watching the Tom Robinson Band, The Clash, Steel Pulse. I like to think possibly stood next to Billy Bragg, but I wouldn't have known. My mum had taken me. My mum despises racism and oppression and exploitation. She was going to the march and said I could go too. Perhaps she is the real hero in this story, passing that caring on to her kids. Those days shaped my life and the worldview that I have today. Thanks, Mum, and thanks, Billy.
Nice. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Jill and Tracy, for sharing stories and thoughts about heroes. You've reminded us that innumerable acts of heroism take place at a more everyday level. And psychology professor Frank Farley would make a distinction between the big H heroism and the small h heroism. Big H heroism involves a really big risk, getting hurt, going to jail, dying. Small h heroism, on the other hand, involves many things that every one of us can do every day, helping someone, being kind, standing up for justice. Those things don't typically involve so much personal risk, but they're still heroic. So Allison's now going to share a beautiful song called Heroes, written by Anne Reed.
What can I learn from you? In your lifetime, in what you've been through, how'd you keep your head up and hold your pride? In an insane world, how'd you keep on trying? When life can tell the tale, and if you make the effort, you cannot fail. By your life, you tell me it can be done. By your life, the courage to carry on. Heroes appear like a friend to clear a path or light the flame. As time goes, you find you depend on your heroes to show you the way. What can I learn from you? That I must do the things I thought I cannot do. That you do what's right in your heart and soul. It's the imperfections that make us whole. When life can tell the tale, and if you make the effort, you cannot fail. By your life, you tell me it can be done. By your life's the courage to carry on. Heroes appear like a friend to clear a path or light the flame. As time goes, you find you depend on your heroes to show you the way, to show you the way.
Thank you, Allison. So beautiful. Okay, well, the English word hero is derived from the Greek word heros, which means protector or defender. In early Greek culture, a hero was a human, a mortal, who had done something so far beyond the normal scope of human experience that he left an immortal memory behind him when he died. And that elevated his status, and he received worship similar to God's. I mean, we think of Hercules, man of incredible strength who slayed many monsters. Theseus, who defended the Minotaur, found his way out of the labyrinth with the help of Princess Ariadne. Perseus, who tricked the snake-haired Medusa and beheaded her, and then used her head to defeat other villains he encountered along the way. Some of these characters committed like unthinkable crimes, and yet we still call them heroes. But that's true, because originally heroes were not necessarily good, but they were always extraordinary. To be a hero was to expand human sense of what was possible for a human being. Today, it's much harder to define what is a hero. We call heroes those whom we admire and we wish to emulate. And we largely define our ideals by the heroes we choose. Ideals like courage, honor, justice. Belief in those ideals defines us. Our heroes are symbols for all the qualities we would like to possess and all the ambitions we would like to satisfy. A person who chooses someone like Martin Luther King or Susan B. Anthony as a hero is going to have a very different sense of what human excellence involves than someone who chooses Paris Hilton, Donald Trump. No judgment. And because the ideals to which we aspire do so much to determine the ways in which we the ways in which we behave, it's a good thing that we have heroes. Personalities, real or fictional, current or historic, who despite the prospect of harm, do what needs to be done to stand up for themselves or others. Others who often have nothing to do with who they are or where they're from or what they do. But their actions, their decisions and actions have everything to do with who they are. Research suggests that heroic actions are driven not in the moment, but over many years as a result of ideas and beliefs and values that are ingrained into one's psyche. While acts of heroism might seem like they come out of nowhere, it's more likely they developed over time, layer by layer, idea by idea, until that moment that the act of heroism is called for. It's like heroism is the culmination. I like the quote from Bob Riley that says, "Hard times don't create heroes. It's during the hard times that the hero within us is revealed." All of which still leaves me in awe. I mean, truly heroic acts are still hard to fathom when they actually happen. But generally in our culture, big H heroes are presented as like a different breed of person, as if their accomplishments are well beyond what normal people could do. In reality, heroes, well, the real ones anyways, are doing the same as us, trying to succeed at life. They too, at times, are confused, feel vulnerable, afraid. They second-guess themselves. They make mistakes. They too have days when they wonder if it's worth getting up out of bed. Most heroes are ordinary people, but it's the act of heroism that's extraordinary. Now, there's two researchers, Zeno Franco and Philip Zimbardo, and they've spent their life researching, focusing on the ideas of good and evil and how humans respond in crisis, moral or physical. There's a ton of research on this. What happens in disasters like plane crashes or earthquakes or fires, 75% of the victims in those situations are too stunned or bewildered to act in the interest of others. Often they're legitimately injured or their perception's impaired or whatever. About 10% of people in those situations will behave completely inappropriately or even destructively. They're the ones that go nuts. But up to 20% will remain calm and rational and maintain situational awareness and be able to assist with their own or others' rescue or escape. So there's reason to believe that many more people could be heroes given the right teaching and mental preparation. Those researchers, Franco and Zimbardo, they've developed this thing called the Heroic Imagination Project. It's based on the idea that ordinary people are capable of extraordinary things, and it flips the script on passivity. Instead of studying why people don't act, it teaches people how to step up. Because in those types of situations, the opposite of a hero, it's not a villain, it's a bystander. So the Heroic Imagination Project trains people, like thousands of people over the decade or longer they've been doing this, to understand how the human mind works in high-stakes moments. People learn how to override the kind of psychological traps that stop us from helping when it matters most. We need to develop some situational awareness and then contextualize that with our values, our morals. We can develop what Zimbardo calls a discontinuity detector. It's a spidey sense that tells us when something isn't right, something's conflicting with our morals or values, and that helps us identify opportunities to act. This is interesting. Awareness of our values in the moment, what we are and are not prepared to accept, allows us to think through different scenarios and then weigh up in advance the consequences of our potential actions. And that helps us not succumb to inertia or the bystander effect. And of course, it's not binary. This is incredibly dynamic. Sometimes there are things we would accept in certain circumstances, and then there are things that we just wouldn't accept no matter what the consequences. But if we've done some of that pre-thinking, when the time comes, our cognitive resources are not consumed with attempting to do those moral calculations in the moment. And if we can develop that metacognition, that idea of watching your thought processes and maintaining mindfulness, then we can improve our cognitive reflexes and resilience so we won't buckle under pressure. Okay, so here's my little story that fits with metacognition, recognizing our thought processes and maintaining mindfulness. It's a stretch, but stick with me. The story's title is, I Don't Swat Houseflies. Okay, so we have this huge window in our house, and in the beautiful weather, I like to leave doors and windows open, and of course, inevitably, flies come in the house, and they get stuck. You've all had this happen. Those poor things fly at the window, right? Frenetically trying to escape. I don't fret when that first happens. I just figure I'm hopeful they'll go back and find the door or wherever they came in, and they'll fly free in the world again. But later in the evenings, or sometimes the next morning, if I find them frantically buzzing at the window, I take a few seconds to catch them under a cup or a glass. I slip a piece of paper underneath the cup, and I carry them to the door, and I quietly and intentionally let them loose in the world. And I often pause for a moment, I really do, and I think what they must be feeling. Yeah, okay, I know we're not sure that insects are sentient, but humor me for a moment. It's a good little parable. Or at least sink into the metaphor of what they might be thinking if they could think or feel. I can so empathize with that sense of panic, that distress that I imagine they might be feeling, that frenzied flying all around the window, sometimes knocking at the pane, trying to fly free, as they should be able to do. I mean, how often do we do that as humans? Repeatedly do a task over and over, convincing ourselves, this should work, or it's my right to do it this way, rather than pulling back and reflecting, this is not working, and maybe it's time for me to leave this window and go find an open door. So I pause and I think about that feeling. I envision the relief they must feel. Well, relief, maybe even joy to be out flying in the world again, flying somewhere else, because that's what they're meant to do, not be trapped. For me, there truly is this little sliver of holiness in that moment of releasing that fly. And it is not at all that I feel like a hero. It's not that. I'm not some savior thing. It's quite the opposite. Those flies, it was their curiosity that got them to the window in the house. They flew in the door that I left open. There was no sign saying, don't fly this way. They're just doing what flies do. And I'm just not so sure of my own spiritual beliefs that I feel confident that I can just kill them. Okay, my dad is a full-on believer in reincarnation. I know some of you are. I know some of you are not. And we don't need to get into it. I just don't know where I stand with all that. I don't fully believe in it. But there is something ineffable about life and connections through generations. And I don't know, sometimes things just seem to align in a way that I can't explain. So I can't decide what I feel about it. And some time ago, I just decided I'm not going to decide. I'm just going to sink wholly into this idea, this generic idea of the interconnection of all beings, the interconnected web of life of which we're all a part. And so, yes, I take a few seconds to catch those poor, frenetically buzzing flies. I carry them to the door, and I let them go. Because maybe my dad's right. Maybe they are a reincarnation of the soul of Gandhi. I don't know. And whether it's true or not, it really doesn't matter. It makes me pause. It keeps me mindful that I have privilege and power that other beings on this earth don't have. And it just brings me back to the value of being kind. Because when I'm in a panic about something, it so often is the kindness of others, often of strangers, that releases me from that state of frenzy, that moment of life when I feel like, oh, this is going to disaster. Suddenly someone's kind, and life suddenly turns to relief, if not joy. That frequently is the way it happens. So often I feel like I survive in life by the mercy, the grace of strangers, from the many daily kindnesses, mostly unearned from others. And I'm reminded it is generally easier just to choose kindness. What's the saying? Kindness is simply love in her daily clothes. So for me, that silly little decision each time to release the imprisoned or stuck fly keeps me grounded in my values. And I totally get it if the story seems silly to you. We all have different moral lines, and it's good to be clear and curious about them. My last little bit of the parable is to share with you that mosquitoes are a completely different frickin' story. I kill them. Mosquitoes transmit way more fatal disease, and they hurt, unlike most houseflies. So it's a totally different value setting. That's my moral line. I'm aware of my thought processes, and I swat them mindfully. We all make our own choices. Okay, one more little piece on this meandering topic of heroes. There's something a little bit unsettling about the whole topic of heroes, and I think we know it. I think we feel it when we talk reverently about those stories, those people, those memories. I think we feel it even more when we watch or listen to somebody else talk reverently about their hero. This little notion of heroes perpetuates this idea that there is a clear line between good and evil in the world. And we buy into that because the world is way easier to comprehend that way. In fact, we want to shore up that idea of a line, fortify the line between good and evil, make it impermeable, to make it clear that those people who do terrible things, murder, treason, kidnapping, they're on that side of the line, the evil side of the line. And the rest of us, ooh, man, I could never cross that line. I could never do that. It's a really appealing worldview. But if we believe that we could aspire to be a hero one day, we like that idea, well, then we have to admit that any one of us could cross the other way to the other side to do something evil one day. And those researchers, Franco and Zimbardo, they've done a lot of work on this also. In their efforts to understand the psychology of evil, they've determined that such transformations of human character are not as rare as we would like to believe. You do a historical inquiry or you look at behavioral sciences, there's lots to demonstrate the banality of evil, meaning that under certain conditions and social pressures, any one of us ordinary people can commit acts that would otherwise be unthinkable, that would be evil. Most of us are just so fortunate not to have been subjected to those circumstances. The phrase banality of evil was coined by Hannah Arendt, who was a journalist during the coverage of Adolf Eichmann's trial for his role during the Holocaust. And she argued that Eichmann was not some monstrous fanatic, but an average and thoughtless bureaucrat who, in the pursuit of career advancement, committed evil deeds by simply following orders and failing to think critically about the horrific consequences of his actions. Whether you buy into that or not, this concept suggests that profound evil can arise sometimes not from deep-seated malice, but sometimes just from a terrifying lack of thinking, from pathologic systemic pressures that leads to conformity, and from the normalization of cruelty within ordinary societal structures like bureaucracy. Evil is not often out of nowhere. It too is likely developed over time, layer by layer, idea by idea, horrible circumstance upon horrible circumstance. Acts of evil are often the culmination of terrible conditions, social pressures, and repeated injustices. Humans are human, fallible. So maybe the Greeks who portrayed the heroes the way they did, maybe they actually got it right. They were the only culture to ever nail the character to say that heroes, like all humans, are deeply and overtly flawed. And thinking about it that way necessitates letting go of any kind of intensive hero worship. Often our heroes falter, especially the real-world ones. We've all had that experience of a fallen hero, someone we've admired or cherished or maybe even obsessed over, and then later we're disappointed deeply by something new that we learn about them. Realizing that fallibility kind of lands with us like hypocrisy, like a painful betrayal. And worse, it can leave us disillusioned not just about the hero, but about the ideal that they seem to stand for. And the best antidote to that sort of fallen hero disappointment or cynicism is just simple realism about the limits of human nature. It's actually a great freedom from assuming that others, any others, have it all together. We need to separate out the things that make our heroes noteworthy and forgive the shortcomings that blemish our imagined perception of their heroic perfection. Immanuel Kant said, "From the crooked timber of humanity, no straight thing was ever made." But some humans have used that warped, knotted timber to build beautiful and bold things, and we can all benefit from their examples. We need their examples in life. We always have. But Tom Robbins said, yeah, we're all our own dragons as well as our own heroes, and we have to rescue ourselves and from our own ideas. There's no clear line between good and evil. And I think it's best described, for me anyway, in the words of Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He was a decorated commander in the Russian army who was imprisoned near the end of World War II for disparaging comments made privately about Stalin. His years in prison gave him amazing insight into the reality of human nature. And in this quote from his book, The Gulag Archipelago, he describes this experience of how a human can become evil or how they can become good. He said, "In my most evil moments as an officer, I was convinced I was doing good. I was well supplied with systematic arguments to that end. And it was only when I lay there on rotting prison straw that I sensed within myself the first stirrings of good. And gradually it was disclosed to me that the line separating good and evil passes not through states, not through classes, not between political parties, but right through every human heart, through all human hearts. This line between good and evil, it shifts. Inside us, it oscillates over time. And even within hearts overwhelmed by evil, one small bridgehead of good is retained. And even within the best of hearts, there remains a little uprooted corner of evil. We need heroes to inspire us, to give us hope. But let us not believe for 1 second that the heroes or any other beings on this earth are clearly and always on one side of that line. We're all fallible, and we need communities like this one to remind us how to keep being better human beings. May it be so.
This next song is about a slightly, maybe not, different kind of heroism. It's about, Anne Reid wrote this when a partner of hers was dealing with a serious illness, cancer, I suspect. And she spoke about honoring the journey, the hard journey that her friend was enduring. But also, my sense is that people can be lifted up when we see in them the suffering and we hold pride for the small acts of life, love, caring, and courage that people have every day. Every long journey is made of small steps, is made of the courage, the feeling you get when you know it's been waiting for you. The journey is the only thing you want to do. It can go and you go through or see through your eyes, but we will surround you, the pride undisguised, in any direction, whatever your view. You're taking our love with you. In every long journey, what drives you to go? It's half what you know and half what you don't. The secret's been waiting, your heart's got the key. The secret's the only thing you want to see. We cannot know what you go through or see through your eyes, but we will surround you, pride undisguised, in any direction, whatever your view. You're taking our love with you. Every long journey begins with a dream, a spirit with courage to make it all real. The dream has been calling to you. The dream is the only thing you want to do. We cannot know what you go through or see through your eyes, but we will surround you, the pride undisguised, in any direction, whatever your view. You're taking our love with you.
Thank you, Allison. Well, every month here at North Shore, we collect for a specific not-for-profit, an organization that's local, community-minded, and aligns with our values. And during the month of September, as you've heard in the last 2 weeks, we're collecting for Backpack Buddies. It's a not-for-profit headquartered here on the North Shore that offers a bag of kid to 6,000 needy kids in different communities across BC every Friday. Please give as generously as you're able. A reminder, you can give by text or credit card with the instructions on the screen. And if you give cash, please put it in the white envelope found in the seat backs so you can receive a tax receipt. Would the ushers please collect the offering, maybe just pausing for a moment to allow people to get their pennies and their names on envelopes. Thank you. Catherine? Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for all the ways you contribute your time, talent, and treasures to this community and beyond. Well, a few announcements. Please join us after the service downstairs for a lovely sandwiched lunch, kindly provided by Diane Hicks. The suggested donation is $5, but $5 or not, please just come. If you're totally new, there is a special welcome table marked with a white tablecloth. You're welcome to sit anywhere, but there is a place that you can hone to if you're feeling unsure. An announcement that hasn't been mentioned in the e-bulletin is that next Tuesday from 1 till 2:30 at Van U, they're hosting a workshop by the Alzheimer's Society on being a dementia-friendly community. It's all part of their series called Matters of Life and Death. And this session, hosted by Reverend Sean, will help people understand a bit more about dementia and explore simple strategies to encourage a more supportive, inclusive, and welcoming community for people affected by the disease. Reverend Sean specifically reached out to other congregations to welcome them there. Next week, Leslie's going to lead a service about the challenges of truth and reconciliation here in Canada. And from what I understand, it sounds like it will be a very deep and reflective experience for us all. Just a little reminder that soon, perhaps very soon, we'll have a fire drill. It's a mock fire drill. The fire department will not be called and no alarms are being pulled. But when it happens, we're going to ask that you exit the building out of one of the exits near you. A flight attendant, you know. We just need peanuts and drinks to be handed out in services. We'd have it dialed. Anyway, okay, when it happens, please exit one of the exits and then come around to the front parking lot. That's where we will muster. And if you require assistance when the fire alarm is happening, just please raise your hand and someone will come to assist you. There will be someone letting us know when it's safe for us to re-enter the building when the fire drill's over. Are there any other announcements? All right then. Let us rise and sing together the beautiful song, Fire of Commitment by Jason Shelton.
From the light of days remembered in the beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. From the fire of commitment sets our mold and soul ablaze. When our hunger and our passion meets to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meets to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our Creator in His choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meets to call us on our way, when we live with the assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Please be seated. Let us together close our service. We extinguish this flame, but carry with us the light of vision and the warmth of hope. The world calls us to live with depth, meaning, and purpose. We go forth with courage and love. Ernest Hemingway said, as you get older, it's harder to have heroes, but it's still sort of necessary. I really understand that sentiment. The further along in this journey of life, we can become jaded. We can be disheartened by the realities of the world, and especially the behaviors of people. But we need heroes. We need them in every generation because they represent hope, hope that there is still good in the world. And they give us inspiration to be better, kinder humans, while recognizing that we're all fallible, each and every one of us. The line separating good and evil passes right through every human heart. One last quote from David Brooks. He said, "Culture changes when a creative minority finds a beautiful way to live. Culture changes when a small group of people find a better way to live and the rest of us copy." What we do here at North Shore Unitarians is kind of like soul craft, meaning moral formation that could be at the center of cultural renewal. So let us continue to explore new and beautiful ways to live, and let us continue to connect together. Let us circle round.